You're on.
Okay. Can you show the audience?
Audience, hi.
Hi. All right. Thank. All right. Let's go back about 80 years to 1929. You're a middle-class businessman with most of your earnings invested in the stock market. You begin to notice that the price of your stock is slowly decreasing. You then read in the newspaper that a crash is imminent. And naturally, you panic. You don't want to lose your life savings. You hurry to your bank, along with the rest of your neighborhood, to cash in your stock. You rescued what money you have left, and you confidently walk back home and put your money somewhere you know it's safe. Now, a few years have passed by, and you've yet to see the stock market improve. You only have a fraction of money left, and your job has just closed its doors. You see your old neighbors sleeping on the streets under cardboard boxes, and you feel utterly helpless for the future of your children. Will they be in those boxes in a few years? In a few months? You blame President Hoover for all the wrongdoings of the economy, and eagerly vote for the prospective and optimistic Franklin D. Roosevelt. The results are in, and you learn that Roosevelt wins by 7 million votes. His first speech is inspiring and uplifting. You finally feel that your future will be saved. Franklin D. Roosevelt's first inaugural speech, known as the Fear Itself speech, is considered one of the greatest speeches of the 20th century. Franklin D. Roosevelt was born in New York in 1882. He attended Harvard University and Columbia Law School. While enrolled at Harvard, FDR planned his path to presidency that closely mirrored what had actually happened over the years of his life. He greatly admired his distant cousin, President Theodore Roosevelt, and followed his footsteps into politics. He began in New York, in the New York Senate, spending almost 3 years there. After being a huge supporter of President Wilson, he was offered to be the Assistant Secretary of the Navy. In 1921, Franklin Roosevelt was diagnosed with poliomyelitis, which is a viral infection that causes inflammation of the spinal tissue. In most cases, polio has no effect on a person, but in 1% of the cases will result in paralysis. Unfortunate for FDR, he was one of the 1% stricken with paralysis after being diagnosed. Even though he was never able to use his legs again, Roosevelt worked tremendously hard and did regain the use of his upper body. He never let his illness cripple his political career. He entered back into politics when he was elected governor of New York. And it was in New York that he developed his immense popularity, which won him the presidency by 7 million votes. The United States was in the middle of the deepest depression that has ever been marked in history. During the presidential campaigns, unemployment was at an all-time high of 25%. That means 1 in every 4 people did not have a job. With a lack of money, many consumers began to limit their spending, and in turn, many businesses were forced to close. Even farmers, who were normally protected from economical downfalls because of their ability to at least grow their own food, suffered as well when they were struck with a severe drought that killed all of their crops. Many people were homeless, living in shacks with no hope of ever recovering. Then, on March 4th, 1933, Franklin D. Roosevelt revitalized Americans with his captivating speech full of optimism and initiative. In the first few sentences of his speech, he acknowledges the despair head-on, saying, "I am certain that my fellow Americans expect that on my induction into presidency, I will address them with candor and a decision with the present situation of our people impel. This is preeminently the time to speak the truth, the whole truth, frankly and boldly." He understands that Americans have elected him into office to address the current economical situation, and speaks to the nation as each and every person was his neighbor. Franklin Roosevelt makes a big impact on America's morale because he's not scared to be honest. Once he has focused the attention on the problems of the country, he comforts America. He reassures them that this great nation will endure as it has endured, will revive, and will prosper. So first of all, let me assert my firm belief that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Nameless, unreasoning, unjustified terror, which paralyzes needed efforts to convert retreat into advance. Franklin Roosevelt does not ask for permission to move forward with whatever he's planned. He is convinced that they will again give the support to leadership in these critical days. This speech is legendary because just in the first few sentences, he acknowledges the problems, he comforts America, and gains the full support of Congress and of the nation. Once he's confident that whatever support he needs, that he has whatever support he needs, he gets to work immediately. In his first 100 days in office, he implements many policies to rejuvenate the economy, some that are still in effect today. The better-known policies are from the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, or the FDIC, and the Social Security Act, or SSA. The FDIC is an insurance company for banks. In the chance that the banks would close, the FDIC would reimburse people's money up to a certain amount. This policy allowed Americans to once again trust the banks with their money. With trust restored in the banks, slowly the economy began to recover from the Depression. The second policy that is still in effect today is the Social Security Act. This act was a response to the downfalls of old age, poverty, and unemployment. This act provided benefits and funds to retirees and the unemployed. The Social Security Act helped the economy by giving people some money to start investing into the economy again. These policies were signed because of the trust that Congress had in Roosevelt when he first inspired the country with his first speech as president. Since our nation still uses many of the benefits that were created from the initiative found in Franklin Roosevelt's first speech, his legacy lives on in these policies that are still in effect today, like the FDIC and the SSA. The first few sentences from the new president reassured Americans that the nation would survive this economic downfall. FDR encouraged people to trust the banks and, most of all, trust him. From his Fear Itself speech, he was able to rejuvenate the country and its economy. It is for this reason his speech is considered one of the greatest speeches of the 20th century. Do we have any questions?
Anybody else?
Oh yeah, you look first.
Did the Depression end in his term?
It ended in the middle of his term, I believe, 1939, I believe, and he was elected for 4 terms, which would be 16 years. And
He was elected for 4 terms?
yeah, he was the only president that was elected for 4 terms. That was before they had the policy
Right,
of
you can only
the
do
2
2
terms.
terms.
Yeah, he was the only president that was able to do it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Was he like one of the major reasons that like the economy like got back onto its feet?
Yeah, because of many of the policies that he implemented in the first 100 days, he was able to encourage Americans to trust, the stock market and the bank again. So most people give him credit for taking us out of the Great Depression, even though there was this, a small crash again, but it wasn't anything that was as catastrophic as the Great Depression. All right, thank you.